All right, today we're diving into the building blocks of Finnish life. We're talking about how they define family, the kinds of childhood experiences that shape you, and this really incredible system they have for helping young people stand on their own 2 feet. So let's get into it. So here's the big question we're looking at today. How does a society actually support its people? Like, from the moment they're born all the way to their first day of independence. We're going to trace that exact journey, the Finnish way, from the family unit right up until it's time to, fly the nest. And where does that journey begin? Well, for most of us, it starts with family, right? But what does family even mean in Finland today? Well, as you're about to see, the answer is pretty fascinating. It's both exactly what you'd expect and so much more. Okay, let's start with the traditional perhe. This is basically what you'd call the traditional family. 2 parents, their kids, all living under one roof. It's a setup that's familiar to a lot of us, for sure. Then you have the yksinhuoltajaperhe, which is a single-parent family. Pretty straightforward, right? It's where one adult is the primary caregiver for the kids. And it's a really common and, importantly, a respected family structure over there. Okay, now this one is super interesting. It's called a patchwork perhe. Just think of a blended family, right? 2 adults come together and they both have kids from previous relationships. So the new family unit can be a mix of biological kids, adopted kids, any new kids they have together. It's exactly what it sounds like, a beautiful, unique family quilt all stitched together. But hold on. The definition of family in Finland gets even broader and more inclusive. We're talking about families with 2 moms or 2 dads, parents from totally different cultural backgrounds, and even families that are long distance. And a big one, it also includes homes where you've got multiple generations all living under the same roof. And this quote just brings that whole idea to life, doesn't it? We live in a 3-generation house. Grandma lives with us, and our cousins live nearby. You can just feel that close-knit community vibe, that strong family network. Okay, so from the family, a kid's world naturally starts to expand out into the community. And in Finland, a huge part of that is the summer camp, or kesäleiri. It really feels like a natural extension of that community-focused idea of family we were just talking about. So a day at one of these camps is like a structured adventure. It all kicks off with a morning assembly. Then it's off on a nature hike to explore the woods. After that, it's time to get creative with some crafts. Then, of course, you've got lunch and a little rest, followed by afternoon games, all before the parents show up for pickup. It's a packed, really enriching day. And you can totally feel the vibe in this little exchange here. The counselor doesn't just say, "Oh, it was fine." No, they point out specific wins. They built an amazing castle. That's creativity. And helped a new friend. That's cooperation. It's all about building character, you see.
And that's the whole point, really. This isn't just about keeping kids busy over the summer. These camps are specifically designed to build real-life skills. Every single activity, whether it's the hike or the games, is a lesson in creativity, cooperation, and, just being resilient.
All right, so let's jump forward in time. From building resilience at summer camp to facing one of life's biggest hurdles, moving into your first apartment. And you guessed it, Finland has a really unique way of supporting young people through this huge step. And get this is not some newfangled idea. The first apartment starter pack has been a tradition for over 50 years. It started all the way back in the 1970s. That's some serious long-term commitment. So who exactly gets one of these packs? Well, the rules are pretty clear. You've got to be a Finnish citizen or a permanent resident. You need to be between 18 and 25 years old. And, this is the big one, it has to be for your very first apartment. It's super targeted support right when you need it most. All right, which leads us to the big question, right? What in the world is actually inside one of these incredible starter packs? Okay, the 2024 POC is just wow. Let's break it down. For the kitchen, you get a full set of dishes, pots, pans, the works. For cleaning, a vacuum, a mop, all the supplies. For textiles, you're getting a duvet, a pillow, towels, even curtains. And then you have the basics like a lamp, a first aid kit, and get this, a food basket to get you going. It is literally a home in a box. So if you were to buy all this stuff yourself, you'd be looking at around 300 euros. That is a huge, practical helping hand that just removes a major financial headache for young people who are just starting out. And this deep-rooted value they place on family, you can actually see it baked right into the Finnish language itself. Just a couple of quick examples can tell you so much about the culture. Okay, so take the word for mother. The formal word is äiti. But, in casual conversation, you're more likely to hear something like mama, or the super informal ukko. It's kind of like the difference in English between saying mother versus mom or ma. Each one has a slightly different feel, a different level of closeness. And it's the exact same story for father. Formally, you'd say isa, but informally, you'll hear faja, or the colloquial ukko. It just goes to show you that language isn't static. These little variations tell a big story about how people relate to their family. So when you pull it all together, you can really see how all these pieces fit together like a puzzle, right? You start with this really broad, inclusive idea of family. That creates a community that really invests in its kids. And then, that same value system shows up again years later to support those kids as young adults with something super practical, like the starter pack. It's a whole system that's built around these key moments in life, and it all starts with how you define family. So, that leaves me with one final question for you. If you could design a starter pack for young adults in your country to help them take that first big step, what would be the single most essential thing you'd put inside? Really think about it. Thanks for joining me for this one.